Workshop where we're going to be talking about inflammation and kind of unpacking the information that, like so many other topics, people get misled in this whole thing we call healthcare that actually robs people of their life potential, their health potential, with the misleading information. And so when we talk about inflammation, it's the itis, right? Arthritis, osteoarthritis, cellulitis. Whatever the first part of the word is just naming the place that it's inflamed. And then in this allopathic medical treatment model, the inflammation itself is the cause of the disease. It is the thing that's being treated. And how is the inflammation usually being treated? Right. It's treating itself, right? I mean, here we are, we're taking drugs, over-the-counter medications, ibuprofen, naproxen, right? This is how we're taught. You have a sprained ankle, or if you're working on your property and you get your face cut, then like I did this weekend, then there's going to be the problems that go along with that, and you're supposed to treat the problem. Many of us know people who are on long-standing bouts of inflammation, and they'll be treated with things like methotrexate, which is actually a cancer drug. So if people are on, have rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, long-standing things, those anti-metabolites are what they'll be giving them. And many of us know and love people who actually have then gone on to be on it long enough to get cancer from it. It shuts down the immune system and allows the body to develop cancer. But the reality is that the anti-medication, the fighting the arthritis and treating that is really not the problem. Inflammation itself is a natural response, and it is not the problem. Despite most people outside of this office talking about inflammation as something to be treated in a problem, it is a natural, innate response. And there's been so many examples throughout history and time that show us that the science of today that indoctrinates people, educates them, misleads them, will be falsified in 10 or 20 or 50 years. Let's go back to the 1600s when Galileo introduced and made popular the Copernican theory that proved that the earth traveled around the sun and it was not flat. Those are the two main takeaways that we laugh at right now, right? We know the world's round and we know that it travels around the sun. But in the 1500s and in the 1600s, that was heresy. And he made that theory popular. And so the Pope at the time had him summoned to Rome. And because he was such a great person, they didn't stone him to death. He was put on house arrest for the last 10 years of his life. He spent his last years, one of the greatest scientists of all time, on house arrest for heresy against the church. Then we moved forward, and we were like, oh man, it was a long time ago. Well, it wasn't, but not even the end of the 60s, when we thought still people were promoting the false science that people of color carried false other diseases, and they had to have separate bathrooms, right? That was science. I mean, we were justifying slavery and segregation and things not just too long ago. Then we reach forward, we go back into this recent COVID times, where we saw lots of information coming out that was false. So when we talk about this, a new example is LDL, cholesterol, right? So many people have been taught since the 1970s that cholesterol is the source of cardiovascular disease. But if you've been to any of these workshops, then you know that that's not true. Just like inflammation is not the cause of disease. The sprained ankle or the cut, it's a natural innate healing response. The pain, the swelling, the redness, the quote, inflammation is a natural response. All chemical equations, most chemical equations, happen better under heat. They happen better under the loose, like fluid-filled, where the chemicals can mix equally. The redness that happens with inflammation is the increase of oxygen and blood supply and nutrients. And the pain is meant to be there to keep you to quit using it. It's supposed to be the signal that says stop. And so we all know that, what do they tell you though? When you sprain your ankle, what are you supposed to take? Ibuprofen or naproxen or something to fight the inflammation. Well, the healing response that happens, whether it's a sprained ankle or a cut on my face, is that the body sends immune cells there that go in and grab a hold of whatever's there, the debris, the injury. If there's bacteria, there's viruses. They signal back to the immune system what other cells to send there to fight the infection, or what cells are needed to be able to heal the cartilage, or if it's a broken bone, the osteoclasts break down the broken bone, the osteoblasts build the new bone. And so too for cartilage, ligaments, skin, whatever was damaged. So that is a natural, innate healing response. The problem that we don't talk about is that it's chronic inflammation that's a problem. Just like in cardiovascular disease, the constant irritation of the blood vessels causes the cholesterol, the waxy substance, to lay down onto those cuts and make kind of a band-aid. But if you keep injuring the same area over and over again, the band-aids just lay down on top of each other until they clog the artery. Well, if the sprained ankle does not heal back in its proper place and the bones don't move right, you receive chronic inflammation. Or if the scar tissue heals in there and it's not done and it doesn't heal right, well, you reach this chronic problem. But it is not the inflammation that is the problem. The cause of the inflammation is the problem. And one of the biggest things we're going to explore in the next few minutes is literally that thought of cause and effect. And these things sting. No one likes pain, weight gain, lack of sleep. All of the things that are accompanied by chronic inflammation, they stink. Anxiety and depression, come on, not good. But the fact is that they still aren't the cause of the problem. So when we look at things, we have to understand that science around the world, and for the last 30 years, we've been saying the cause of 75 on the small end, 95 on the upper end, depending upon who's estimating it, but 75 to 95% of all disease is lifestyle related. We're the cause, which stings. But yet it's also empowering, because that means that we have a 75 to 95% chance of fixing it if we deal with the cause. So when we think about things and we deal with causes, we need a template. These are the things that we know are the lifestyle issues that cause inflammation, a natural response in the body trying to heal itself. But it goes on and on and on and on. The system is the 5 essentials of health. The lifestyle that it accompanies chiropractic. And we have these in Max Living to deal with the stresses. Because, like this person who's crumpling in this picture, they're dealing like always, right? Stress is everywhere. Right? Come on. If you have kids, it's like herding cats, right? It's crazy. The responsibility, the stress, the schedules, the everything else. It's everywhere. So where do you start dealing with your stressors that are causing chronic inflammation? Well, first of all, we've got to start right between your ears. Your mindset determines your choices, which determine your outcomes, which determine your reality. And we have to do this in a way that wakes us up. So let's all stand up and take a moment to wake up. Put your things down, and we're going to go through something that's called Max T3 or high intensity interval training. And what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that your worst enemy is in front of you, and they're just about right here. And we're going to go for 20 seconds as hard as you can. 90% output is what you need. And we're going to start in 3, 2, go. As fast as you can go, beat up the person in front of you, and you're trying to get yourself out of breath. Now, some of you are going really slow. And what we want to do is push ourselves to wake ourselves up, to burn and get ourselves to 90% in rest. Some of you are thinking, wow, that was only 20 seconds. Right? 20 seconds on, 20 seconds on, 20 seconds on, 20 seconds on. Go ahead and have a seat. We'll go spot through some of the magic of why that is so important. But just like if we were going to, we've got to get used to dealing with reality. We know out there that the world is governed by things like gravity. Right? You wouldn't expect to jump off a building and fly, would you? Not without a kite or a parachute or something, right? Why? Do you realize that all of these things are things that God created our world? There are certain rules that govern our world, like gravity, the laws of aerodynamics, the laws of thermodynamics. There's the law of inertia. Bodies in motion tend to stay in motion until acted upon by another force. The law, or I should say, inertia is the stability. Momentum, that bodies in motion tend to stay in motion until acted upon by another force. Well, there are laws that govern our physiology just as much. And how insane is it to go through life dealing with effects? So in the world of cause and effect, there is no such thing as the term side effect. If I give you I'll give you some ibuprofen for your swollen ankle, and it makes your swollen ankle get the swelling go down. But it also causes you to lose 2 teaspoons of blood per pill through the lining of your stomach, and you get nauseous for a while. You sprain your ankle too. And you know what? We give you the ibuprofen, the swelling on your ankle goes down, but you have an allergic reaction and die. I'm sorry, that's a side effect. What? No, the ibuprofen killed you. It's the effect. But in the world of medicine, we get to make up fake terms that make up things that call it a side effect. It's a fake term. It's popular, but it's a lie. If the ibuprofen I gave you kills you, that's the effect. It's not the side effect, even though it did get rid of the swelling in your ankle, which was the intended thing. So we have to get back to the fact that when I drop this, no one expects it to go flying off into space. It's a law that governs our world. Well, there are laws and principles that govern our internal physiology. It's not a law that he had to be nice enough to pick that up for me, but I appreciate it. And so the thing is that inside of this world that we're living in, everyone out there is marketing something to you to deal with an effect. So if I want corn, because I love corn, but I plant apples, do I really expect to get corn? right? It's stupid. You're like, well, it's ridiculous, right? Well, it's ridiculous to try to treat an effect of a cause. The only way to get a different effect is to have a different cause. And yet we are taught to deal with the rising cholesterol by taking a chemical to fake our bodies out to lower the cholesterol. We're taught to take pills to reduce inflammation, but never deal with the cause. It is ridiculous to plant apples and expect corn. You cannot change a cause by dealing with its effect. So if you want better health, you cannot pharmaceutical your way out of a problem you lifestyled your way into. That is changing effects to deal with causes. It's planting corn or planting apples and expecting corn. It's ridiculous. But this is the Madison Fifth Avenue salesmanship that's going on, marketing to you constantly to deal with the effects. There's a pill for every ill. And God forbid we tell you to change what's causing it. If you are diabetic, we can give you the really cool pump that monitors your blood sugar at every second and trickles in insulin to bring down your blood sugar, and it's an amazing device. But it's probably one of the more dangerous devices on the planet because it tricks that person into thinking that their diabetes is under control. When in fact, diabetes is carbohydrate toxicity, poisoning of the body, because we're intolerant of it. So we need to get back to the cause of the problem, which is too many carbohydrates causing the pancreas to be inflamed and the body insensitive to the insulin, right? We need to deal with causes. Yes, that mindset, we need to deal with our stressors. Yes, we need to simplify our lives. Yes, we need better scheduling. Yes, they can't make money off of you. So in no way, shape, or form do they want anyone messing with their $1 trillion a year business. It's not conspiracy, it is a business plan. Openly discussed and talked about. And so for us, the consumer, the only way to have is to consume less, to have better health, and to need less of their product by taking care of yourself. So we've got to talk about the fact that medical problems and bills are the #1 cause of bankruptcy in America. 60% of people who file bankruptcy will file bankruptcy due to major medical bills. The #1 cause of disability in the world is spine-related pain and dysfunction. So if we're going to deal with the #1 cause of disability so that people can't work and have a living, and we're going to talk about the fact that trying to keep you from having to file bankruptcy over major medical bills, we have to give you a template for implementation so that you can experience life to your potential. The number one thing to do is fix the mind. The number two thing is to connect the mind to the body without any electrical interference, called subluxations, because this is what is the difference between life and death. The life force, the literal, if you become brain dead, we can keep all of your organs functioning for you on life support, on a ventilator. This is what transmits the electrical life force and is the connection between the spiritual us and the physical us. Is the brain and the electricity that unites the matter with the rest of the electrical potential. So this, if disconnected through subluxations, misalignment of vertebra, or the most common thing in society today, especially our children, the tech neck, where the neck goes forward. We're walking around with book bags and we're staring at our phones and we're all, whatever the names are of these things, emo or whatever. And you just got all these lists of why I should be all kinds of hunkered over and 90 at age 5. Well, this, on average, a neck that is supposed to be curved from the side, the spine is supposed to have its 345-degree curves. Well, if you straighten one of them out, you tension the spinal cord like a rubber band on average 2.5 centimeters. All of that extra pressure causes inflammation on the whole spinal cord, which is the area of the connection of the brain to the body that controls breathing, swallowing, taste, blood pressure, your heart rhythm. Whether your body can speed up the heart with the sympathetics is here. Your thyroid is controlled from the center of the neck. Your blood pressure coming down is from the vagus nerve in the top right underneath the base of your skull. So if you're subluxated in the cervical spine, it throws off all of those things, whether you feel it or not. One of the other most devastating things is in the mindset is if I feel good, I am good. How many people felt good and dropped dead of a heart attack? How many people have you ever heard of went to the doctor, felt good, found out they had cancer and only had 6 months to live? Right? Plenty of people. It's a lot. And so if we're going to get back to fixing causes, we need to talk about getting the spine and the nervous system back to normal so that it will allow the rest of the body to function normally. And that is the only reason chiropractic exists. Now, if you restore the spine to its normal configuration and you get pressure off of it and the inflammation goes down, the natural result is most people will feel better. Right? Awesome. I'm glad. But chiropractic does not treat back pain. It doesn't treat headaches. It doesn't treat anything except for the misalignment of vertebra that are causing inflammation on the nervous system that causes a disconnection of the whole body. Because, one of the things and one of the reasons it seems like always happens, I get reminded of why I do these workshops. I have a patient who comes in here weekly. And I realized just how little he knew about chiropractic and how much I had failed him and this community by not communicating well enough with my patients. When he informs me that they're under a lot of stress because his niece took a month's worth of psychiatric medication that she was on because she was having trouble at age 16 to commit suicide and is now on a ventilator awaiting all of that to trickle out of her body and hopes that there will not be a vegetable at the end of the next 30 days. And he feels better, and he loves coming in. And I could name off all kinds of really cool things that he's experienced. But he came into this office knowing very little about chiropractic, and apparently he left knowing just about as much. Because I failed to communicate with him the importance of if the nervous system and the electrical system that's running his niece's body is under so much stress she's thinking about killing herself, maybe she should get checked for subluxations to see if that's what's causing her body to be out of balance. Or maybe she should come to a workshop, or her parents should come to a workshop to find out if her nutrition is so bad, that's what's causing her chemistry to be off. Or maybe it was something else that we could have helped with if he had only known. Maybe she wouldn't be in the hospital. And I take personal responsibility for it because it's someone that is in this community. And their uncle is a patient in this office. And it's very infuriating to know that that's happening to some little girl. And how many other people are out here in this society that think that chiropractic's for back pain? And since I don't hurt, I must be okay. But their kids are on benzodiazepines with one of the major side effects being suicide. Or they're taking their cholesterol medications and they think that their blood pressure and their cholesterol is under control so they can keep eating cheeseburgers from McDonald's. And they're killing themselves because we're not communicating. So tonight in these workshops are here to educate you so that you can go out into the community to the people that I don't know and let them know about what we can do to help them have a better life, live to their potential. And it does start with connecting the mind first and then the mind to the body. And so when people are on corrective care, we're trying to get their spine to fix itself by a certain number of adjustments. And then a certain amount of home care to train the muscles to hold those adjustments. So we watch their spine go back to normal. And then when it gets back to normal, they go into maintenance care and they maintain their spine and nervous system, not because it doesn't hurt them anymore usually. They don't have problems they can feel, but they want to maintain their health. And so we maintain this with a certain amount of adjustments and a certain amount of home care, whatever that person needs. Whether they're coming in twice a month or they're coming in once a week or whatever their regimen is that they need. So that gravity doesn't start pulling things back out of position and their body dysfunctions, causing inflammation, which then causes their body to have things that they don't want. And that's up to you. But we want people to understand that all health and healing is controlled and coordinated through the nervous system, so that people can experience a better life. On the back of your sheets is a list of where you can put down the names of people that you love and are concerned about. And on the back of this order form, if you put their name on here, and during this week they call this office, they can get their exam and any necessary x-rays for $60 instead of the normal $150. Why? Because people are worth it. And I don't know if they're disconnected and subluxated, allowing their body to dysfunction. And it doesn't matter how much kale you eat. It doesn't matter how many omegas you take. It doesn't matter how many steroid shots you get. There's nothing that can fix a spine except adjustments and home care exercises and the body fixing itself. So we give people the opportunity to get their families checked. It's 60% less than it normally costs, so that people can actually afford to find out if that's what's causing their problem. These get turned in to Miss Anna when we're going to have a sign-up sheet coming around in just a minute. As a matter of fact, you go ahead and start passing it around, which is for Shop with the Doc, which is a thing that we do at the Ingalls, where we literally do on a food tour through the Ingalls, showing you how they hide the next subject of this inflammation workshop, which is the conversation about food and how inflammation is coming into us from the standard American diet. And it's not just the fried food and the fries and everything. And by the way, The McDonald's is like 7 years old. Those are chicken nuggets that are 7 right there. And I bet if you eat them, you won't even get sick. We had a little girl eat one of the fries not too long ago, and she didn't get sick. And it's not just because of all of the toxic ingredients that are in there as preservatives. It's because of the thing that, one of the things that, like this is a Consumer Reports article, where they went through and looked at the wrappers that our foods and our processed foods are coming in. And it's polyfluoroalkalies. These are called forever chemicals. So that waxy stuff on the inside of the wrapper around the burger, or the, so let's see here, let's talk about McDonald's. So the French fry wrapper is coated with 250 times the amount of approved levels of polyfluoroalkalies.
I didn't say this.
Yeah, how do you like polyfluoroalkyl? Yeah, so what we want to do, the chicken nuggets that are also sitting right there, they're at 219 when the acceptable limit is 8 parts per million. It has 219. And what the science says is that the more acidic the food and the greasier the food, the more those chemicals leach out of the wrappers and into the food, and your body can't deal with it. It can't be broken down by your body. The earth out here will not recycle. It's not biodegradable. It goes all the way through into our water table, and the more that you get exposed to it, the more your body has to store it. So this is a great article if anybody wants to look through it. 6 ways to reduce plastic. Come on, folks. Every single week, you consume basically a credit card's worth of plastic if you eat packaged food. A credit card's worth of plastic coming from your food wrappers and the liners and the things inside, and from your water table. So that's another great article. Inflammation in our food, chocolate, the way that they're making it now, it is high in cadmium and lead. So there are safer options for your dark chocolates and things like that. Again, reducing your amount of cadmium and lead, which we know are known neurotoxins. Yes, the sugars inside of ours, the hidden sugars, not just the how much you know you put in there, but the way that they use words to hide sugar inside of our labels is subjecting us to unknown amounts that unless you're reading it, you don't know it's there. So that's what Shop with the Doc is for. We literally walk you around, and when we get to that section of the store and you go, ooh, that's my favorite, we'll grab the label, we'll spin it around, we'll talk about what's in it, and we'll show you, hey, maybe there's a better option right over here that's less toxic. What about the artificial sweeteners? So the extra sugars add extra calories, which cause us to gain weight, because compared to 1985, people consume on average at least 300 calories more a day, but exercise far less. So of course, when you eat more and exercise less, what do? You gain weight, right? That's how it is. Artificial sweeteners cause obesity for a different reason. If you take an artificial sweetener, which there are non-toxic ones like stevia and monk fruit, but if you consume those without protein and fat accompanying them, your blood sugar drops, it signals you to eat more, and it causes you to gain weight. That's why artificial sweeteners inside of sodas, diet drinks, cause obesity in the same way as the ones with sugar. Who has a question about something like that? Anybody have a question about nutrition so far before we get to the solution?
I'm afraid to find out.
Yes, go ahead.
The cadmium in the lid of the chocolate, why would it put it in there?
It's not that it's in there, it's the way that they're processing things and the natural concentrations of the cocoa and the things and the way that they're not filtering it out is more of the problem. They're not screening for it and filtering out, just like non-lead based paint, right? They're just not screening and pulling it out. These other companies.
most American rice is loaded with arsenic.
You're right. It's a natural concentration.
But the other depressing thing is chicken. Commercial chicken is also loaded with arsenic, and they don't report it. But it's used to kill off insects and stuff in these high-density chicken prisons. And,
Yeah, I mean,
it's dangerous, but it's all about rent a politician and do what you want to get away with.
I agree. There is not, and this is that sign sheet for the shop. So what we want to do is create a solution. Problem, solution. Increasing our intake of antioxidant foods, increasing the amount of antioxidants from healthy fats. Essential fatty acids are omega-3, 6, and 9. Now, the accepted ratio, most American diets are high in omega-6 because it has a high shelf life. Omega-3 and omega-9 are pulled out of a lot of foods that are boxed and packaged so that they have a longer shelf life. So it's not that one is more important than the other. It is that the ratio is meant to be as close to 1 to 1 to 1 as possible. It's acceptable to have 4 to 1, 4 times the amount of omega-6 to omega-3 and omega-9. But anything over that amount is considered to be now more of an imbalance. And when we talk about the body and healing, it's about balance and homeostasis. It's about removing deficiencies and removing toxicities so that the body can heal itself. We're getting rid of the cause of the problem, not dealing with the effect. So when we get into the antioxidant-rich foods and the dark leafy greens, what do they give us? They give us the advanced plan. So you have to ask yourself, if you have any of those things, you have any of the things that are on this list, and your body is expressing warning signs that it is not functioning properly. This is not a list of things to be treated. It is a list of the things that you have that say your body is not functioning properly. And if you fix what's causing it, it has a better chance of healing. If we can get to it in time. All of us have a shelf life, right? All this stuff that we're made of has a shelf life. And if it reaches the point of no return, well, then we can simply try to keep it from degrading faster, but we can't get it to go all the way back to normal. So this is another reason chiropractic is aimed at being a pediatric profession, because we want to get to kids before their nervous systems are broken down. We want to teach the parents how to feed them and exercise and de-stress them and have a natural lifestyle so that we grow a generation that's capable of fending for itself, right? We understand that life expectancy is going down. For the last 4 years in a row, the children born in that year expected to live less than the kids who were born in previous generations. First time in recorded history. And it's because our world is more toxic. Everything's going wrong because we're not dealing with causes. So the advanced plan, what is it? Ask yourself if you eat at least 5 servings of fruit and 5 servings of vegetables a day, and you've been doing so for the last several years, and you consume either grass-fed and finished organic beef or cold water fish at least 3 times a week. And if those have not been the staples of your diet for the last several years, then you are both toxic and deficient. Deficient in vitamins and minerals and nutrients, and toxic in the processed food stuff that you must have been eating to have replaced that. That's the unfortunate nature. So the advanced plan removes all processed wheats, breads, things like that, gets rid of processed and packaged food, and then you can add in only the low glycemic index fruits and berries. So blueberries, blackberries, any berry. Granny Smith apples, lemons and limes. Those are your sources of fruit. Those are the low glycemic index ones. Then you eat low glycemic vegetables, all of which the process and how this is done is outlined very well and in big detail in the Align Your Health book. Or the mini book, these are things that, this is like the Cliff Notes version of how the 5 essentials interlock to create a lifestyle that reduces inflammation and improves your longevity by helping you live to your potential. The Quick Start Guide to Nutrition and the Recipe book. How to cook the things that you're shopping for that reduce the inflammation in your body. So this is, again, Shop with the Doc, August 3rd, is how we go through and teach people how to do it in the food label reading that allows you to understand what you're eating. Who has a question about nutrition or the advanced plan or omegas or the essential fatty acids or any question about nutrition?
What is the advanced plan?
The advanced plan is exactly, it's the things that I was just referencing where we're removing the grains, we're removing the breads, we're eating just the low glycemic index fruits, and we're eating all vegetables and plant-based, and we're trying to eat as clean as possible. So the apps and the website, ewg.org, has great material that you can go onto and download and literally take that scan or that app and take your product and hold it up to it and scan it, and it will tell you how toxic it is, how allergic it is, and how cancerous it is. ewg.org, and they have the apps that are right there that you can download on your phone.
You could use that when you go through the Shop with Doc.
I do not, because I've already processed that information in my head and we're doing it right there in real time. It's something I could add, and I'll think about doing that. We could pick out a few products and use it right there. Absolutely, because I have it on my phone.
Good.
Yeah.
I mentioned the standard American diet as specified by the FDA and the American Medical Association is really sad. It is just dangerously 100% backwards in what they say we should all be eating.
It is, and that's one of the biggest things is that we want to eat more of the food that God created instead of the man-created food. It is absolutely insane to eat something that is processed and packaged and expect it to be alive and give you life. The only thing that gives you life is something else that was at one point in time alive, right? Well, but not according to Bill. He wants us to eat the lab meat. But that's an aside. So what about the sedentary lifestyle? Removing the causes of disease, right? So we want to pull these things out and get rid of the things that are leaving us toxic. So one of the things is that the skin is the third leading, or fourth, so depending on who you read, third or fourth leading detoxer in the human body. So if you don't sweat profusely every single day, you are leaving your body a burden of toxins that are meant to be sweated out, and that burden is being placed on your kidneys and your liver. The other thing is your lungs are skin, and just like you can use a breathalyzer to measure how much alcohol someone has in their system by how much they're expelling out through breathing, other toxins like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, these are also expelled through breathing. So again, if you're not breathing heavily every single day, you're leaving that toxic burden on the body. Not to mention, unless you reach 90% output and come back down multiple times, then your body is constantly trickling up the stress hormone cortisol. Cortisol's job is to elevate blood pressure, increase platelets, clotting factors, cholesterol, and blood sugar, because it thinks you're about to get in a fight or get mauled by a bear. So it does all of this chemically to save your life. But unless you burn off that stress hormone with exercise that takes you to the 90% output or greater, it constantly trickles up throughout your life, increasing your blood pressure, increasing your cholesterol, increasing your platelets, because that's how we were designed. But when you exercise like we did, the 20 seconds, going as hard as you can, 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off, there's a website, it's called Max T3, and for those of you who are patients and you had a kit that you came because you needed corrective care, it has a coupon and it has a code that allows you to sign on to that site. The workouts are 15 to 12 or 15 minutes long, and they're designed to help you with low tech. Me and Anna do them despite sometimes the sweating and the nasty heat out here that she doesn't like. We'll still get out there and work out like we did today and do a core body workout in just 12 minutes. And then, I get to go on my run or go do something else that I enjoy. And so the idea is that it's short. It's easy. You can do it in the parking lot, and all you maybe need is some exercise bands like those over there hanging on the wall. And you could hook them to I hook them to the trailer hitch of my car. Or I use the door mounts and close it in the car door or in the door and the cracks of the door. And those are your anchors to do your exercise. Or when we're inside, you can hang them on things anywhere. It allows you to get a great bout of exercise in your home, low tech, anywhere, on your lunch break. In your car, at work, you go out, you grab your stuff, you work out next to your car, you put it back in there, you go in, you're done in 15 minutes. Lunch break, great workout, problem solved. Burning the extra calories that people are eating. But we're changing that. We're removing the cause by giving you the information on how to fix it. Now we're going to be reducing or removing the lack of exercise. Yes?
You mentioned before, what was the increase in metabolic rate for exercising before you eat?
So if it's more about when you're exercising and then making sure that you don't consume carbohydrates, simple sugars and things afterwards. When you exercise like this with this high intensity interval training, and then you're only eating proteins and fat, minimizing the amount of carbs, your body stays in a fat-burning mode metabolically for hours. Depending upon the person, it can be up to 18. So it's different for everybody, but what we don't want to do is force those carbohydrates in there, and again, then that creates the cycle of up and down. So that's more of the process. Other questions about exercise? Most of us think of toxins as coming from here, right? It's the smoke that's coming out of the smokestack, or it's the smoke from Canada that's filling our air, ruining our air quality. But in all reality, most toxins are coming out of the little window down there that's a big door that are rolled out into the stores that are the cosmetics and the lotions and the potions and the things that we slather onto ourselves in the name of beauty and, quote, cleanliness, or clean our houses with. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, says that the average house is 5 times more toxic than the outside air. Because of the chemicals, the VOCs, which this is another great article that I enjoyed, pointing out where the VOCs, the volatile organic chemicals, are coming from. That are coming from the flame retardants, the stain-resistant clothing. So if you're wearing clothing that is, quote, stain-resistant, that's the polyfluoroalkyls that I was talking about earlier, those chemicals that are forever chemicals. That's what latens those products. Volatile organic chemicals are in the fire retardants that are on our couches, that are in the detergents and the bleaches and the soaps and the cleaners that we use in our house. And then, again, EWG.org has replacement products right there. If you are a person who uses, and of course I hope you do use soap and shampoo and all those things, but if, those are products that we all use. But if you're somebody who wears cosmetics and perfumes or uses air fresheners or any of these things, then they're filled with parabens or phthalates, which are cancer-causing chemicals, right? We removed the BPA from baby bottles because we knew it was causing cancer. But it still lines the layers of, or is the lining of the can, the aluminum can that you're drinking out of, the aluminum can that you're getting food out of. The lining is BPA, polyfluoroalkylates. So what we want to do is reduce the amount of chemicals in our homes and on our bodies. The best company that we found is something called Beauty Counter. It is a company that's dedicated to all non-toxic substances in all of their products, whether it's cosmetics, makeup, shampoos, detergent, everything that they produce is safe and non-toxic. They've outlawed like 14,000 chemicals when the US government has outlawed less than 50. So that gives you a kind of measurement. How do we upregulate your detoxification strategies? Number one, we're reducing the amount coming in from your better nutrition. We're increasing your sweating and your heavy breathing through great cardiovascular exercise. Then, detoxification strategies are upregulating liver, being able to detoxify the body. Lemon water is a great, enough water. Half an ounce per pound of body mass. So let's say that I weigh about 190 pounds, let's say 200. So if I weigh 200 pounds, half my body weight's 100. So that's the minimum number of ounces of water I should drink a day. So it goes by your weight. So it's tailored to you versus me versus him, right? I mean, we're all different. We all have different needs, and then the more that you sweat, and the more that you're outside, the more water you need that day. Lemon water upregulates the liver's detoxification process by giving you lithium and different bioflavonoids that upregulate. So now here's the next thing. Removing deficiencies. Omega oils, B vitamins, multivitamin and mineral that make up for the fact that most people aren't eating 5 servings of fruit, 5 servings of vegetables, magnesium, and the omegas. These are all the 5 things that are in the daily essentials that give a person all of the things they would need to be able to live and be without deficiencies. It does not replace healthy eating. You can't just take supplements like the daily essentials and continue to eat McDonald's and Snickers bars. It doesn't do that. You still need all the fiber and the other things from healthy eating, but it minimizes the amount of deficiencies so that the body can detoxify properly. The max greens in the curcumin. Max greens is the concentration of superfoods that allows people to get all the other bioflavonoids and the enzymes, things that come from cruciferous vegetables and other things that we typically don't eat enough of. And it puts them in a daily dose. And then you can take that, mix it with protein, or you can mix it with just water. And in that way, you're saturating your body with everything it could need to, again, minimize deficiencies so that your body can function properly. Curcumin has the same interaction on the COX-2 enzyme that non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs use. So it reduces, curcumin comes from turmeric, and those curcuminoids that are in the C+, act on that the same way that an ibuprofen would, but without the toxicity in the ibuprofen, or causing the bleeding of your stomach, or the failing of your liver. So yes, it's non-toxic and in a healthier version, but it's also dangerous because of the mindset that it creates. We don't want you thinking that because you have less inflammation because you're taking the C+, thinking that you're better. That's like taking ibuprofen and thinking that you're well. Or blood pressure medication and thinking that your blood pressure is good. We want these things like curcumin to be used to be kind of palliative for a temporary amount of time while you fix your lifestyle. So yeah, we have the upcoming events, the shop with the doc. Yes, the biggest thing is for you to decide, based inside of the laws that govern the world, the laws that govern our physiology, and how you can apply the 5 essentials to your life, how are you going to remove the causes of the problems of your body? All of these things on the list that you might say you have are being caused by something. What is it? Fix that and you have your cure. The template for doing that is the 5 essentials. And so that's your personal dive into your own life. And the fact is that you're worth it. And it's worth the time and the effort it takes to develop your lifestyle plan so that you can live to your potential to be the person, the parent, the spouse, the mother, the grandfather, the whatever you are. Because we only get the one life. The quality of it and the quantity of it is determined by the actions we take in our own lives. So I hope that you'll be inspired to take action with better knowledge and the template of how to do it. So we're going to raffle off a couple of things here for those of you who took the time out to come here. We're going to go ahead. We've got some vitamin D that we're going to give out, which is one of the things that is essential. And so one of the things, here we go. Hannah. Yes, you won vitamin D. You're welcome. All right, so we've got a pop socket from Max Living, so it goes on your cell phone. So Mr. Roy Peck. Hey, man. So one of the biggest things, as you're on your way out, any of the things that you have questions about, from supplements, nutrition, things like that, you're welcome to come up here afterwards. If you're purchasing anything, all the supplements are 10% off. You can do that up front. Signing up to shop with the doc if you need to. That sign-up sheet's up front. And I appreciate your time and hope that this allows you to have a better life for you and yourself. Yes?
You haven't mentioned the effects of light.
It's true.
If you're using bright lights, LEDs or whatever, in your house after dark, you're injuring your circadian cycle, and you will not get as good a night's sleep.
Absolutely. Effects are also technology. If we're talking about light, one of the most damaging is also the blue lights that are emitted from screens. Having screens in front of your face during that period of time sends signals into the brain that alters melatonin production, which is a part of that circadian rhythm. So, definitely. All right, any questions?
Yeah, I got one question.
Yes.
All right, I have a bad case of migraines,
Mhm.
and they're like uncontrollable.
Okay.
And there's nothing like, I was told noise, and like you was talking about the light deal, but what about, you were saying you could breathe in the fragrance? You get one from that, would that trigger like migraines or anything?
It could. You know, the fact is that, you know, like for me, it's enamel-based solvents, things like nail polish removers and things like that. That will trigger a headache with me because I have a chemical sensitivity to it. So there are triggers like that. But my question to you would be, number one, has anyone ever analyzed your spine and your nervous system to understand how the nerves that are controlling blood flow to your brain, how healthy are they? That's step one. Step two would be, what nutritionally and chemically have you come in contact with that has made you susceptible to these things? And then cleaning up these inflammatory things, because your symptom might be migraines and it's a chemical thing or too much stimulation from light or a fragrance or something because of subluxation, because of toxicity from diet, from toxicity of other things. You know, it could be a ton of things. So each recipe is different. And that's why the action steps of understanding and writing down the days that you have headaches, the things that you might have done differently, what you think those triggers are, and then looking at what those are causes of. Those are the things that each one of us has. It might be ankle pain. It might be a shoulder that acts up. It might be anything. that going through the process of the 5 essentials and analyzing your life is what's gonna allow you to find your solution. And so,
Thank you.
no, you're very welcome. Other questions? All right, have a blessed evening.
You do as well.
Absolutely.